The show can't start until we crack open a bottle of Revelton. Whether it's their crisp, clean vodka, the bold spice of their rye whiskey, the rich smoothness of bourbon, or the original honey whiskey that started it all, every pour is a taste of craft and passion straight from the heart of Iowa. So pour yourself a drink, settle in, and get ready to relax, laugh, and enjoy the show.
Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Red and gold on the edge of the sky, feel the rumble, hear the battle cry. Out in Ames where the storms ignite, we don't back down, we rise and fight. Jack Trice's his name, yeah, it echoes strong. A story of honor still marches on. Through the rain, through the pain, through the fire we roar, 'cause we were built to thrive in the eye of the storm. Feel the ground shake, hear the crowd roar. Cyclone power, can't take no more. Legends rise, this is our norm. We stand tall in the sigh of the storm. There's a cyclone blowing on the outskirts tonight. Jack Trice shakes when the team takes flight. Milton's rocking, hear the magic call. We rise together, we'll never fall. Feel the magic you can't deny. Marcus Stars are taking off straight to the sky. Brick, big play, Kirby making history. When the moment gets tough, that's the cyclone way. Through the trenches, through the lane, through the heat, through the rain. When the storm comes rolling, we embrace the fight. 'Cause the cyclones strike when the time is right. Feel the cyclones strike when the time...
Well, welcome back to the Side of the Storm, where we talk all things Cyclones. We are live from the AKC Marketing Studio, brought to you from our friend Andrew Downs, and sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company out of Osceola, Iowa, and our newest sponsor, which we'll have a great commercial on tonight, Iowa Beef Steakhouse. If you haven't been there, they're absolutely fantastic. I'm Dave Larson, here with my Storm Team partners and Cyclone greats, Mr. Vintage, Brent Big Play Curvey, and the legend himself, Marcus Pfizer. Good evening, guys. How are you doing tonight?
We here.
I don't know what we want to talk about tonight.
We all here tonight, baby.
And we're already getting some love on the chat and the stream, which I really love to see.
Let's go.
Earlier in the week, I really thought, okay, we're gonna talk a lot of variety tonight. The problem is that we're probably not going to be spending a lot of time on the things that we should be talking about. We should be talking about the bowl game and where we're going and our chances for a 9-4 season, which would be the fourth time in school history, the third time under Coach Campbell that we would have achieved 9 wins. We should be talking about the 10-0 undefeated women's basketball team who play today and have a game coming up on Wednesday night in the Cyhawk series against the Iowa women. We should be talking about Audie Crooks and her school record 47-point outburst against Indiana last weekend. We should be talking about the 9-0 men's basketball team who defeated the number 1 ranked Purdue Boilermakers on their home court by 23 points.
Yes,
which
sir.
is the largest loss by a number 1 team on their home court in a non-conference game in history. And we should be talking about the men and their upcoming Cyhawk game on Thursday night against Iowa at home at Hilton Coliseum. And let's not forget about the wrestling program, who we missed last week's show, but they also beat the Iowa Hawks in wrestling for the first time in 20 seasons. And in this week, depending upon how the men and women's game turn out, this could be the first time in school history that the Cyclones have swept pretty much all the major sports against the Hawkeyes for the first time ever. No, instead we learned Thursday. It came very quickly like a snowstorm that Penn State was actively pursuing Matt Campbell for its head coaching job after being spurned by no fewer than 4 other coaches. And then we learned on Friday that Coach Campbell actually met a contingent of Penn State administrators came into Ames, flew in, met with Coach Campbell Thursday at some point. Friday, we then heard the news that Coach Campbell had accepted a deal worth $10 million a season, plus an additional $17 million for coaching staff, plus an additional $30 million commitment for NIL. And then an hour after that announcement, we heard we have a new football coach, Jimmy Rogers, who comes in from Washington State University after spending about 12 seasons with South Dakota State and had a very successful run up there. And then today we're sitting in church and we learn that we're now not going sent out by Iowa State, said that the players had voted against playing in a game. And really, there was probably an element that we could understand that who's going to even play. Whenever a coach leaves, there's the transfer portal that automatically opens up for all players. And then really, there was a question of who was going to coach because it seems like all the coaching staff is heading to Penn State now. So, fellas, we have a lot to unpack tonight. I know emotions are high within Cyclone Nation. I know our emotions in our chats back and forth. We've learned a lot through the last few days. It's been very frustrating, a lot of uncertainty that we're all trying to sort through. I know I probably honestly have a level of depression going on because I remember the days that we've really struggled in football. And here we are, we've reached the high of highs and it feels like we're starting over. You know, back in the day, Marcus and Brent, if a coach left, you just kept on playing along. You didn't have that chance. If anything changed, it was the coaching staff and the schemes and maybe the techniques and that, but pretty much everything stayed status quo. I want to start with you, Brent. From a football standpoint, what's going through your mind?
Can't hear you, brother.
Having a little technical difficulties with you, Brent. Marcus, let's get started with you. You had a similar situation with Coach Floyd,
Right.
obviously, when he left. And that was one of the things that you had added to the group chat a little bit about. There was, it feels like deja vu for you.
Right. You know, it's always something that you expect, you know, in the climate of collegiate sports, no matter if it's basketball, football, soccer, whatever the case may be. Um, but I think overall, from a fan base and being a fan now of the program, is just, you know, we come to a point in the program now where we're expecting, you know, big time seasons. You know, we're expecting success and across the board in basketball, football, and whatever. And so when it comes to a time where this comes about, we've dealt with the rumors year in and year out. As you know, Coach Campbell has put together some strong seasons. The last, you know, 2 or 3 seasons have been pretty much the best that we've seen in history. So I think we were quiet about the fact of wondering if someone is going to try to come pluck them, but you know, in the back of our mind, we still thought that there would be a chance that it would happen. And you know, it seemed to have happened. So to be a student athlete at the time of having, you know, the coach that recruited me to leave and to eventually go into the Chicago Bulls, you know, the dynamic of what it was for collegiate sports is different now. You know, if you transferred, which never crossed my mind, never ever crossed my mind. I think that was one of the biggest things, one of the top topic or question that, you know, a lot of the media would ask me, and I told them it never crossed my mind. I made a commitment to play there, and I was going to finish that commitment. What I came to Iowa State to do after my freshman year, I wanted to continue on, and I did. But now, you know, where you can transfer and be eligible immediately, the NIL money is what it is. That's plucking guys from here and there. I got a couple guys that's playing collegiate basketball now that's been in school 3 or 4 years, and they've been on 3 or 4 different teams. And it's just, one of my players, I didn't even know that he transferred, was in a different team this year. I was just watching, college basketball, and it's like that kid looked real familiar. And come to find out that I'm like, man, but you understand it is what it is. But it definitely does hurt. The uncertainties of what we're going to expect or what we're going to have. Not to take anything away from Coach Rogers, we didn't know exactly what we were going to get with Coach Campbell. But he's built the program over the last decade or so, and we've been accustomed to being a force in the Big 12. So, of course, we wish him the best, and hope everything works out for him at his next destination. But we also have the right to be heartbroken about the situation.
Brent, how are you feeling through all of this? You're intimately involved, former player. You've sort of seen coaches come and go. You yourself have been a coach coming into a new situation. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's tough, man. So I was a part of Coach Mack's last years, and even though I didn't have to deal with the transition, it was still just one of those tough things. I still got a picture, and I'm sitting on the stairs inside the Jacobson, just kind of still in awe that he got let go, and he wouldn't be there anymore, knowing what he had did for the university at the time. So,
right,
it's unfortunate. So even as a player, it's like, so many memories, man. You think about all the things you did and what you could have done and all that good stuff. But, got Coach Rogers coming in. I guess realistically, we can't do anything but be patient and see what happens. But, Campbell elevated us far beyond, I'm sure, what anybody truly thought. We've definitely been places we've never been and accomplished so many great things. So, I mean, that's a testament to, the process and kind of putting a stamp on things. So, just like Marcus said, man, clearly wish him luck where he's headed to. Can't fault the guy. I'm sure he had his reasons. I'm sure it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy decision. He recruited all the guys there and, sitting in all those parents' living rooms, man, and talking to these people and making promises. It's not easy to do. And then for you to, to leave. So, it's tough for him as well. He's built all these relationships and done so well. So, as a player, all you can do is kind of weigh your own personal options. It's such a different ball game now. NIL has changed everything. It's like Marcus said, he looked up and saw a kid playing, at another school, and he wasn't there last year. It's just the way things are now. And the money that some of these kids are getting, it's changing their lives. So they're willing to take a chance and go to another school that's offering them more money. A lot of times the people that are in their ear saying you should do that probably shouldn't be the ones that kind of help them make those decisions just because they haven't experienced that. But, it's money tends to change a lot of things. But at any rate, man, there's some big shoes to fill. James now. He's left quite the imprint, but I think more than anything, fans really gotta be patient. I know people are heartbroken about the bowl game bid and not going, but unfortunately, that's a trend that's gonna keep going. Now how they take that lick on the chin, whatever the fine is gonna be, if they penalize that to players and make them pay that back, it might change some of that stuff, but. These kids are getting their voices, right? Because they know this is business too, and they're making so much money off of them. They're like, hey, well, I'm not going to do it. Right? They don't want to put their bodies on the line. And the reality is it's hard to get to go play for somebody else, even if he is within the staff, right? It's like you still got to get up and go play for this guy. Things are going to be ran totally different. There's a lot of emotion behind it, but even that guy might be the head man next year. So, I don't fault the players, man. It's a tough, that's a tough break to have your coach one day, 3 days ago, and then to walk in and not know that and to know that he's not going to be there. I don't know if I want to play either. Emotionally, that's crazy draining. You promised this guy so much, you built so much with this guy, and for him to be gone now, I can't get up for a game. It'd be hard for me too, because there's no students on campus, and we got to deal with learning through social media. That's tough. It's almost like a smack in the face too, right? Not getting that, but as a player. But again, I get it on the back end too, right? It's business. You want to keep those things close to the vest until you know for sure it's going to happen. But it's a tough spot to be in, man. But the guys just truly got to weigh their options. So if they choose to leave, it's got to be what's best for them, because I'm sure the new coaching staff has guys that they want to. So
A lot of great points there, Brent. As a coach, and I saw some on social media that Coach Rogers was meeting with the team, try to look in the crowd to see who might be there and who, more importantly, may not be there. What's your message as the new coach coming into the team? What are, maybe from two different perspectives, what are some things that the coach should be conveying to the team, or um, might be conveying? And then from a player's perspective, what would you want to hear from the new coach?
I'm not a fluff guy, so don't bullshit me. Like, just shoot me straight. You want to come in, you're trying to rebuild, you're gonna do things your way. I'm okay with that. I just want you to shoot me straight. Like, tell me what your expectations are. Tell me what you plan to do. Don't come in and like, oh, we're gonna win a national championship, and I'm gonna make you guys. I don't want to hear that shit. Like, tell me the truth. I just want to know what kind of program you envision and what you plan on doing while you're here. If our next step is to truly pursue a Big 12 championship, I want to see how you plan on making that happen.
So
What
provide a
your
vision,
values are.
show me what that
Yeah,
looks like, right?
yeah, yeah. Just give me. Don't I just don't. I'm not a fluff guy. Never been. Like, you start, kind of bullshitting me and sound like a car salesman, I'm out. Like, 'cause I mentally check out, because I don't buy into that. Like, tell me the cold hard facts, what it looks like. So I'm a new guy, but I know how to win. I got a 33-9 record as a head coach. So I understand how to put guys in places. I know how to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to focus on that to take this program as far as I can take it. Like, give me that. Don't shoot me. Yeah, we're going to win no matter what. We'll win 12 games next year. I don't want to hear that shit. Like, tell me, shoot me straight.
So Marcus, you went through this then
Mhm.
when Coach Eustace, what was his initial speech like when he met with the team?
Um, you talking about over 25 years ago,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the speech.
Okay,
More
that's
so
fair.
his scowl on his face. But for the first year, it's going to be a struggle because,
But did he meet with you one on one, or did he meet
of course,
collectively as a team? Okay.
of course, of course. I think his biggest thing early on was he was apprehensive about me transferring, and I reassured him that wasn't happening. Um, he was a little bit more soft spoken in the beginning until I told him that news, and then he flipped into Larry Eustace. And once he turned into Larry Eustace, that everything just went downhill in terms of what we used to be what we were used to, coming from Tim Floyd to what he was going to implement. And we struggled that first year. You had some holdover guys from the year before. You had some guys that were seniors that were going to be graduating, things like that. And then he had guys that he was bringing in, and we finished 500 my sophomore year, and then the next year, my junior year, is the year that we had um the greatest season in basketball history, a little bit. But yeah, I mean, once we got to it, and understood what he needed from us, no matter how hard it was, no matter how easy it was, no matter what it was, we knew what to expect. But it was not easy at all. Um, uh, first face value of all of them coming in, learning, like Brent said, learning new coaches. One of the biggest things they want to do is, for whatever reason, change the culture. Even if it was a winning culture, they try to change the culture and things of that nature. And again, for the holdover players, that's a strange dynamic to be even faced with while you're trying to, you have in your mind the things that you've done to have success. I hadn't had much success as a basketball player other than being a freshman of the year, so I thought I was rolling a little bit, but I understood when he came in what he brought to my game, what he brought to us as a team, and we continued to grow. And we had pretty good seasons after that. So it just come to guys buying in, new guys coming in, guys leaving, guys staying, or whatever the case may be. Because like Brent said, I mean, you got to understand where it is right now in collegiate sports where these kids are able to be paid. Back then it was you was trying to become a pro to make, thousands or hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. Some of these guys are not going to be pros. So if you can, elongate your collegiate career and be a good profound player in college and you're making, $500,000, $1 million, why would you not move to the next place and to the next place? You can be, a 5'7" kickoff return specialist, that's tearing up college football, that you're not going to do too much of nothing possibly in the NFL. So if I'm going to make, $1.5 million in 4 years and that changed my life and I can get a degree and then or start a business or do whatever else, guys are looking to do that. So you're going to see a lot of coaches leaving. You're going to see a lot of players leaving. And it's just where we're at right now. So for me, the opportunity wasn't there in terms of being able to transfer or make more money or make any money for that value or anything like that. So my biggest thing was to finish what I started at Iowa State. I knew what legacy, Dedrick Willoughby and Kevin Cato and those guys, J.C. Holloway, them left before me. I wanted to build on that. Sean Bankhead pointing at the Big 8 trophy. That's still one of my favorite memories and pictures in my mind, seeing them do that. Even though we weren't going to be in the Big 8, we're in the Big 12 now. I wanted to be on that same stage to bring that same type of trophy home. And that's what I wanted to do. And that's what I, committed myself to doing. And that's what I accomplished.
And let's be honest, guys. I mean, this is a form of therapy for all of us and for all of Cyclone Nation. This is so raw. This just happened. We feel like we got punched. We feel like we've been stabbed in the back. We're confused. No one knows what the hell is going on. And it's so frustrating because back when you guys were playing, this free agency mentality just wasn't there, right? You had opportunities, yes, but we could turn over 50, 60, 70% of this year's team that saw a lot of success. We were just in the championship game a season ago. We were ranked, 14 earlier this season, 5-0 with an opportunity to keep progressing forward. We had the stumble during the middle of the year with 4 losses and then rebounded with 3 losses. Again, we had a chance to win 9 games for just the 4th time in school history.
Yeah.
Coach Campbell has set a precedent, right? We've won, I think I read somewhere that he had 8+ wins in 5 seasons. Well, before then, in the 30 years before, we had won 8 games in just 1 season. So just the success that we saw in Marcus, you alluded to it. You saw the successes, and then not only did you carry it forward, but you created your own legacy. And I would hope that the players have that opportunity and they hear what they need to hear from Coach Rogers, that you can win here. You can go to championship games here. You could win championship games here. And if you win the Big 12 championship, you're in the playoff. That's not certain wherever you go. You have a chance to create a new legacy in Ames.
It's not, but dealing with the NIL and things like that, it doesn't matter. It can be a smaller school that's telling you, well, we're bringing in, and they're dangling money in front of you. The uncertainty. Well, if I'm going to get more money and I'm going to get a new coach anyways, I might as well, go get the more money and get a new coach from a place where, I'm starting over fresh and trying to get, footing somewhere else. You never know. All kind of things are playing in these kids' mind. The rumors of what Deion Sanders did, first day when he came in and told, players that, get into the portal, whoever. Like, I'm gonna give you the. You never know what's going to happen. So,
Although with Sanders, that Colorado team, they sucked. I mean, let's be honest, they were not a good
yeah,
team. So
yeah.
if you want to
But
encourage those kids to transfer, I can get that point. But I mean,
how
Iowa
how
State, we are just in the championship game a year ago.
but how good was what is it, Washington State? How good were they this year?
Well, and they're in that depleted Pac-12 or Pac-10 or whatever they're calling it conference. They're the leftover between them and Oregon State. They went 6-6 this season. They lost
Okay.
several close games. I think their 6 losses were all against top 25 teams. So pretty decent program for a first-year coach that's trying to put pieces together. We have to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
That's tough to
Yes.
do.
So if he has some players that he felt very strongly about, and these kids may be thinking, just like Brent said, let us know what's going on. Are you bringing guys in, or like what are you doing? I'm quite possibly the NIL or the collective at Iowa State maybe a little bit bigger than Washington State. You never know. The Big 12, it is what it is. So guys are going to be apprehensive, one way or the other, and they should be right now.
And I think what's so frustrating, this whole situation's frustrating, right? I mean, we find out today there's no bowl, and I think it's something a lot of us as fans, we live and die with the Cyclones. This is our team. This is our school. We all went to school there. We're alums. We're graduates. We're fans first and foremost, and not have the opportunity to see this team close out. It's so frustrating to see. We put a lot of heart and soul, money, tailgating. We purchased tickets, season tickets. We bought the merch. We've tailgated. It just, that's what's so frustrating, not having closure on it. It just feels like we were robbed. And it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's I get that too, man. I think what people still have to understand is things trend now with this generation. So whatever is hot, that's what they're gonna do. K-State was the first team to do it. And now kids are like, hold on, we can do that? Yeah, okay. Their head coach left too. Or retired, sorry. So you know what's gonna happen if my head coach leaves? Fuck that. I'm not playing. Who wants to play? So I'm saying mentally, emotionally, they're done. Because you know what else happened? Their contracts were over after the last regular season game too. So now these kids are talking about re-signing contracts for the next year, for the next calendar year season or whatever that is. And God forbid anything happens in this bowl game. Guess what? All that money that they were making, it's not going to happen anymore. That's why it's NFL. The thought of NFL happens, right? So it's same thing up there. You get hurt, you're not about to get that contract. You're not going to get that contract you thought you were going to get. So a lot of these kids are like, man, they're protecting themselves, by not playing because so many people are opting out. And it was individual players you saw last year. Now it's teams. So it's not just one guy, it's a collective. These kids are finding their voices. So I'm saying people got to kind of get prepared for that.
And we should acknowledge there's been some noise on message boards about control of NIL dollars at Iowa State and that maybe having some sort of impact on Coach Campbell's decision to look at and eventually go to Penn State. I think it's something that we at least want to acknowledge, but at the same time, it's probably better for others that are staking those claims to really talk further about. But how do we fix things? I think that's something that we've sort of alluded to in prior episodes, that this whole NIL space, it's so new that there's a lot of turmoil that's coming with it. Now we're the ones that are involved in all of this, right? The NCAA, in my view, has been exceptionally weak. They've created this monster. It's not going to get any better. It's total free agency. Marcus and Brent, in the professional leagues, there's a salary cap. There's contracts that if a general manager or president of an organization wants to make a change at the coaching, they make that change, the coach leaves, but the players, for the most part, stay. That's not the same way with college. How do you fix this, what's going on currently in the college ranks? Or do you let it stay? And I get the opportunity to allow students a chance to move. As a as a student, if I or our sons want to go to college, they can go to a different college every single year if they wanted to, every single semester if they wanted to. But how is there a is there a fix for this?
Well, I personally think, like you said, that the NCAA really created this monster because they swept it under the rug for so long. Um,
Mhm.
when Ed O'Bannon was going through the lawsuit, you know, I remember one of our first houses here in Las Vegas. We've been out here since 2013. That was 2014, maybe 2015. That the mail came to my address, and I opened it up and read it, and it was me being one of the people signing, saying that this is something that I want to be a part of to move forward to these kids being able to to be paid, and that was 10, 11 years ago. So them waiting so long to really address this point, the verdict was had, and then everything was passed to allow it to happen, and now it's just a free fall. They're being able to be paid. The schools that have the biggest amount of money, look, let's Texas Tech. Like they said, they've paid so much money, and now they won the Big 12, and now they're in the college playoffs. So you never know what can happen with that happening, but it's like they were trying to not make it happen or not allow it to happen, but it was eventually it was going to happen. So now we're at the point where it has happened, and now we're just trying to balance it the best way we can when it's just all off tilter. It's all off tilter. And again, the kids that are getting the most money, I saw something on social media the other day. I couldn't see what school the kid was at, but he's making $6 million a year in basketball, and he averages 6 points a game.
Is that
Somebody
the BYU kid?
I don't know. No, I don't. That's the Bonzi kid, is it?
Yeah, I think he's
I don't
scored more
know.
than 6 though. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's definitely a pro. No, this kid kind of looked Asian, or I really couldn't tell. Mess around did something. When you're on social media, if you touch it or whatever, it'll flick up, and you can never go back to wherever you were on it. So, but I just remember like he averaging 6 points and like 4 rebounds, something, but he's making like $6 million a year, and I mean, it just is what it is. Like these kids are thinking, well, if I can, a lot of people talk about the kid in Michigan, the quarterback from Michigan, or they talk about the Nico kid at UCLA, all of that. It's just it was going to eventually happen. So now we got to get to the point where if you're paying the kids and you're considering that to be a collegiate sport and not a pro, I don't understand how you're doing that. Like it, I mean, if it's,
But even
it should mirror.
Marcus, even at the college level or at the pro level, you have a contract. It's not like you can just say, I'm going to get out of my contract and go elsewhere. There's costs involved in that. Why can't college kids have a contract too, where they have to
They do.
stay a certain period of time?
Well,
They have contracts. They do.
Well, that's
have
the point.
contracts.
But it was 1 year, as you said, right?
Mhm.
But that's the thing. Like it has to be figured. It has to have some tough stipulations within it that's going to be able to give the universities and them leverage over everybody bouncing around and this happening and that happening. Again, they should have really been trying to figure this out beforehand. The NCAA makes billions upon the billions. So, what are you going to tell the king in the king's tower when you got all of the money?
Yeah.
When the servers figure it out, and now they're just trying to get some of the riches. You're trying to now backpedal and see how we can make this work. But you should have been figured this out.
Yeah.
And here's a message. I don't know if this is addressed to you, Brent, or not, but it says Curve got 3.3 mil, but did they say Rocco cleaned out his locker? I've not heard that. I think we're going to learn a lot in the next couple of weeks, maybe as early as this week, about the status of some of these players. I think that who stays and who goes will be a very telling sign of the direction of the coaching staff.
Listen, like Brent said, I'm a realist. As much as we love Rocco, I don't see him staying. I mean, I just don't. To be able to go with the coach possibly. You know, if
Well,
I
there
didn't
were
necessarily,
reports last year that Rocco turned down a considerable amount of money to stay at Iowa State.
And Campbell was still his head coach.
but Campbell said right.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So,
So now
there is a
Coach Campbell was
there is
gone.
a strong chance. I would hope that he would stay for a senior year. I think that to start anew with a new staff, unless he were to go to Penn State,
Not gonna happen.
I just
It's-
think that
it's-
there's challenges there. Now,
it's-
he's gonna,
it's-
granted,
Yeah.
I think there's a certain comfort level,
But
and maybe this is the Cyclone in me saying, "Stay, Rocco, stay. I want you to stay."
I think that's the
That's what it
Cyclone
is.
in you.
Yeah.
Because with 30 million in NIL money, that team is going to be built around him to, progress his his talent and everything on, and his bag is probably going to be a little bit bigger. So again, we're talking about these kids being able to do that, and if you're able to do it, you can't fault them if the coaches are able to do it.
I mean, that's
Brent, what were you
you
gonna
said
add
it just
there?
a second ago. You said it just a second ago, right? Like he was offered more money and turned it down. Well, he's going to be offered more money with his head coach and probably a lot of his guys. He ain't going to turn it down this time. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, that's the reality of it. I don't want to go into my senior year starting over. Like I had friends a part of the Gene Chizik change and started over. Shit sucked because they talked about it all the time. I hated the coaching staff because they pretty much said, I don't care what you did before. You're not a part of the team now. So you can't be here. Okay, cool. So, the hell with them. But these kids are going to do what's best for them, man. So that's what I'm saying. Like fans have to, you almost have to adjust your thinkers just a little bit and think, what would you do in that situation? Because it seems it'll be great to stay here, loyal, forever, true, all that. But reality is money talks. Not to mention comfortability too. Because if Campbell takes his key guys, the coach that brought in those really good players, which I would suspect he would, a lot of those kids are gonna try to follow, right? So that'll leave the other guys that, weren't up there, that'll kind of remain type of thing. But that comment was that's a good comment. I mean, it's good to have a GM to manage the NIL, but the reality is you need really big donors no matter what. That's why those Texas Techs and all these other schools are doing so well, because they have heavier sets of donors that come in and are throwing money at the pot. That's not
I
going to
think
happen here, unfortunately.
it's a legitimate question, right? Regardless, in today's NIL, and we're not going to go into a lot about the behind the scenes and what's being said on the message boards, but I think it's a legitimate question. Should athletic programs at this stage with NIL dollars out there, should there be a separate person that just sort of manages, like a salary cap guru that manages sort of where the dollars are going and making sure that those thresholds are not being overextended?
Well, I think 100%. Not even necessarily a guru, just a different entity, just a different person that's focused on what GMs do. The AD has have to do different things that to run the program or whatever. A GM for football, GM for basketball, GM for all of that. It should be that one person, to put together what needs to be had and what needs to be done, for that 1 year or 2 years, or however you figure it out. Because otherwise, we're going to stay like this. We know a guy like Rocco Beck has NFL talent, but this is football, and he's one hit away from never playing again.
Well,
And
Rocco and Carson Hansen and
all of
Ben
that,
Raymer. I mean, there's a
all of
lot
them.
of guys that have
So
NFL
so
talent.
so if he can get 5 million, 6 million, 7, whatever the case may be, and God forbid, knock on wood, something like that happens. Well, okay. Well, should I stay and make less than what I'm currently making, or should I move on to possibly bigger things with my coach, finish strong, have a good season, possibly get into college playoffs, what we hadn't been able to do here at Iowa State, and make more money, bigger stage possibly to some people at Penn State. Coach Campbell is there. Hey, I don't see him turning it down.
Hey, we should take a break. We've been on pretty long here, and I need to freshen up my beverage. So let's take a quick break here, word from our sponsors, and we'll come back on the other side.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
In the heart of Des Moines, one name has stood above the rest: Iowa Beef Steakhouse. Step inside, and you enter a place where tradition still matters, where the atmosphere feels familiar, warm, and unmistakably Iowa. Here, every guest is welcome like family, because that's how it's always been. Service isn't rushed, it's personal, attentive, and rooted in genuine care. And before the main event, the freshest start in the city, our signature salad bar, crafted every single day. Then comes the reason people have returned for generations: Iowa beef, hand-seasoned with pride. Guided by flame, forged by heat. This is where flavor becomes legend. Served with the same care it was crafted with, a meal meant to be remembered. And whether the night calls for bold, smooth, or something in between, our bar offers a selection as rich as our history, including the old-fashioned we've become known for: balanced, timeless, unforgettable. And long after the fire cools, the glow of this place stays with you. Iowa Beef Steakhouse, 1201 East Euclid Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa, where Iowa comes for steak, done right.
All right, we're back to In the Side of the Storm. Fellas, have you been to Iowa Steakhouse?
No,
I'm not.
It's phenomenal. You got to get out there. Really good place, really good meat, and just a fun vibe, fun environment. So if you have a chance to get out there, please do so. Hey, it'd be a great spot to go on Wednesday night and Thursday night before you head up to Ames for the Cyhawk game, for those fans that are making the trek up to Ames. So we were talking about the coaching and some of the things that are going on behind the scenes. And can we take anything away from the fact that they're not playing in the bowl game? Is that a sign that we're going to see a large number of players move to greener pastures? Or is this hey, we don't know what to expect. It's in our best interest to just sit back and hear from the new coach? Any thoughts on that? Does it mean anything either way?
I'm gonna let Britt handle this.
I mean, like I've been saying, man, I think it's just smarter for people to just, unfortunately, be patient. They're not playing the bowl game, so now you got time. You don't have to rush and tune your TVs for nothing. You don't have to plan any travel. I would just sit back and just kind of see how things unfold, because reality is the big question is going to be the portal stuff. Got a couple young guys already hopping in, but still got a little time before that window opens up. And, I would just wait and see what happens.
I have to admit, there is one person in my house that's happy that the Cyclones are not going to a bowl game, because now she feels like there's an opportunity to get a new kitchen table and chairs.
Yeah.
Since we're not going to be spending it on any bowl games this year. Now, for me, I'm heavily investing in Revelton. This has been a long few days for us to be able to sit back and watch this all unfold. It's been frustrating at the same time. Now, we have a new head coach coming in, Jimmy Rogers. If you're Jimmy Rogers, first of all, how cool is it to say that Ames is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood?
Oh,
W-
that's a cool little tag. That's
Yeah,
all right.
that is kind of neat. What's your recommendations? He is meeting with the team today, or we saw some things on social media. What are his initial steps? I would assume step one is to talk to some of these players, Carson Hansen, Ben Bramer, Rocco Becht, and just feel them out, right? Is that his first move?
Yeah, it
I mean, you
should
got
be. Yeah, it should be. I hope he don't lead off with, this is going to be Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, because these kids probably don't know who the hell Mr. Rogers is
at
or
all.
anything to do
Yeah.
with
Have you
that.
not seen TikTok?
They
I've seen
probably
TikTok between
they
he
they look at TikTok and like, what does this mean? You know what TikTok mean about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
right.
They're not going to understand, but I mean, hopefully so.
Tupac
You
and
know,
Mr. Rogers on TikTok for those of
that
you who are
was
missing
funny.
out. So yeah.
But yeah, hopefully so. That has to be the first thing, especially the starters that you think you're going to be able to hold over and retain. It's going to be an uphill battle. I feel to because we don't know what the NIL situation is going to be. We're not going to know what other, like Brent said, once the portal completely opens up and different opportunities is afforded to these kids, you just never know what's going to happen. We just got to cross our fingers and hope for the best.
Brent.
That's about it. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's not much you can do. You want to talk to the guys that can be pillars of the program, but you also know that there's a good chance that there'll be pillars of another program. So, he's got to touch the guys that or speak to those guys and kind of get a gauge for them and see what they think, and also kind of pick their brains on what's behind them and who else they think they can build on. But reality is, man, it's this is kind of one of those rebuild type of things. Like, Marcus said, for him to take over a new program and go 6-6, that's great. The Pac-12 is it's a dwindling league, but I mean, he still took over, takes that team to a bowl game. So that's good, right? He's 33-9. He's got a winning track record as a head coach. So that's something you can't just gloss over. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing.
And he won
So
a national championship at FCS level,
yeah,
national championship at South Dakota State. So
yeah.
he's
I
had
mean,
some success. He knows how to coach.
I kind of look at this too, I guess from my standpoint of he can probably get a lot done with very little. And I think that's kind of what, him coming into this role is going to end up being, right? We're in the Midwest, there may not be such a huge NIL budget. So what can you do with what we kind of allot you, so to speak? So I think given where he's been at and what he's done, I think that's the purpose of the hire. In my eyes, again, I don't know, but it just looks like you come from a South Dakota, you go to a Washington State. I'm not sure what it looks like NIL wise. I'd imagine the budget's not huge. So you come to the Big 12 now, you got a little bit more. So can you make, what else can you squeeze out of it in this Big 12 climate? So I think that's why the hire came, and the guy knows how to win. So what else can you do other than, just wait and watch him work? So got to be
There's been a
patient,
lot of
man.
speculation, and Matt is posting off of X that Conradi's locker's cleaned out. Hanson's is too, and it's Mansky's team now. Speculation, we're not really going to know. Again, this is so raw and so new. The new coach is just now meeting with the players. These players are going through this too. They just got their team ripped apart. Their coach just vacated. There was a 48-hour period where there was all the speculation on social media, and the players didn't hear. They didn't hear from the coaches. The coaches were reaching out. They didn't know what was going on. So, I think we really have to realize these are 18 to 22-year-old kids and other coaches that they're dealing with it, just like we are as fans, right? So, if there was a player or two that you just said, "Hey, these are the players I want to focus." What's one? Maybe this is not a fair question, but is there one player that you said, "I really would want to see that guy stay"? Who
Rocco
would that?
Bet.
Rocco.
Of
He's
course, of course, Rocco.
you want a
Yeah,
quarterback. That's
yeah,
kind of
you
who you
got
build a
that,
team around.
right? Or
Yeah,
you gotta
you
have,
got to
like,
have that guy.
Well,
he's
Moberly
been our
and
starter.
Mansky has shown signs too. I mean, they've been very impressive in those opportunities where they've played. So I
Yeah,
think that if they were to stay, that would be a good sign. But you're thinking if Rocco stays, that sort of settles the ship.
it definitely helps balance the ship
Yeah,
being settled. Because I mean that's the captain, that's the quarterback. Like that's the engine that's been driving the team for the last 2.5 years or so, going on 3 years or 3 years or so. So not to take anything away from the next guys that's stepping up and masking them, the rest of them, whatever, but Rocco has been the starter.
mhm.
So me losing Jamal Tinsley, I mean, I would have been pissed off, had I came back from my senior year and Jamal transferred or went somewhere
Yeah,
else, So absolutely, I would have been had Jamal Tinsley. Had I come back from my senior year and Jamal Tinsley was talking about transferring, I probably would have been leaving to go with my quarterback also, wherever he was transferring. Because I
Hmm.
mean, that's just how the things roll. We saw Lazard leave, Green Bay and go to New York, the Jets with Rodgers. So it's just that dynamic of being with your quarterback. We seen Terrell Owens crying about Tony Romo. That's my
that's my
quarterback.
quarterback. Uh,
So it's just that part of it. So for me, absolutely, and I think a lot of people would say Rocco as well.
Were you surprised, Brent, that that Jamie Pollard announced his Coach Campbell's replacement? We're talking within an hour that the replacement was announced. I sort of thought it might take a few days, but an hour. Were you surprised by that?
no, I mean that's what I said, man. Like I turn off my fan brain and get right into this business. It wasn't there was nothing malicious going on. He knew what was going on. It just wasn't released to the public. So that lets you know, like, if he had one in the chamber already, it's because he knew that one was gone. So that's just what it is. It's you got to stay a step ahead, and I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, it makes sense. Honestly, you can't leave it up to chance because again, now you're talking about the other kids that are there at the program and their potential futures are kind of weighing in the balance too. So knock it out. Just be ready to roll because I'm sure he
As a
knew, had conversations, and let's get to
as a
it.
player, does that give you a sense of relief, or does that help you to know that the replacement was named so quickly? Is there any type of assurance there for these players to know that there is a plan, that Jamie Pollard is running the ship and he's got everything under control?
I don't as a player, I don't think that lets me know if that gives me a any any help. Yeah, he's running the ship. That just means this was planned all along. Because if you telling me 2 hours ago my head coach is gone, and then the next hour, who the hell is this guy? We got somebody else new coming in. So to me as a player, oh, so y'all knew this and didn't tell us anything. So you're kind of like F us. I'm sorry, as players, like we don't know, completely out of the loop. So I'd be probably a little pissed off as a player, not knowing that they were this far along in the process.
Yeah, somebody gonna coach the team. I mean, one
Yeah,
way or
I
the other
mean,
is. I mean, a coach is
mhm,
coming, so
Right.
you as a
yeah,
player, you can't really control. You can't control at
mhm.
all. Apparently, who's going to be coming if he hadn't spoken to any of the players about. And I don't even know if that's something that they can do or do. But I think what talking to a kid like Rocco, um, could have helped out a little bit. But I mean, you go the direction that you want to go. You're the AD of the program. You make the hires and all of that. So, to me, it really doesn't matter because, like I said, somebody's gonna have to coach the team.
Yeah.
I, I I have to believe that there's tremendous pressure on this hire, on both Coach
Oh
Rogers
yeah, oh
and
yeah.
on Jamie Pollard. you're in a situation where we've seen these highs. The expectations, the the level of expectations has been raised. That's something that was one of Coach Campbell's first mottos when he came in, is to raise the standard. Well, the standard has been raised, and it's been pretty clear with this recent announcement and these changes that the expectations are exceptionally high. And the challenge, I think, for Coach Rogers is coming in that you don't have the luxury of having last year's team. It's going to be an entirely new team, but as fans, they don't care. The expectations have been raised, and so will really be curious as to what next year's team looks like. And boy, the pressure that this coach and the athletic director have now, if you didn't think it was high before, it is now.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about next year's team, because look at Indiana. This is that coach's second year.
That's a great point.
And
he's already in he's already the
right.
number one seeded team in the playoffs. That's
number
a
one
great
seeded
point.
team in the playoffs. So you never know what could happen. You have to let it play out to see what the first year is going to be as you continue to build. So we got to be patient. We got to take this gut punch and, continue to be patient and see what happens next.
You make me feel good. That's a great point. You make me feel good. Like, hey, this could actually work out pretty well.
My fingers are crossed the whole time.
Fingers crossed the whole time. That's it. Yeah.
Hey, I think we've sort of gone at this on every single angle, and I don't want to continue to labor upon it. And really, I want to recognize the women's basketball team. They won today, huge, 105-52 over Northern Illinois. I was up at that game. A lot of fun. Audie with 30 points, did not play the entire game. I should have gone back and looked at her minutes. At halftime, I think I sent a text message to you guys that Addie was on pace for another triple-double. And I'm talking, she had like 8 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. She was well on her way to a triple-double. She barely played in the second half. Again, last week, Audie Crooks upped her school record to 47 points in a game against Indiana. We're not talking about some Division II school. We're talking a Big Ten school here that she did that. I love this team. I'm going to say it again. I think this is Final Four caliber. All the parts are there. And they get to play Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, against a good Iowa team. I really hope that as fans, we can come out and take some of this aggression that we have and frustration with football and just cheer as loud as we can for the women's basketball team. I think Addie Brown put out a tweet earlier tonight, too, asking for that. So please get up to Ames, cheer on the women as they take on the Cyclones in a big Cyhawk game. We have a chance to sweep the Cyhawk series with all of the major sports for the first time, I think, ever. So that would absolutely be a lot of fun for us to be able to do that, if you can get up there and do that. On the men's side, last week they beat Syracuse, they beat St. John's, they beat Creighton. That Creighton exhibition that everyone's bemoaning about that they lost. Yeah. Well, that didn't mean squat. For crying out loud. And Taman was injured. We've been fine without him. He looked pretty good yesterday against Purdue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, that was a big time win. Yeah, it was a big time win. Of course, we were going into what they call it, the Mackey or whatever, as underdogs, and to put out that quality, that's one of those wins that okay, this one feels good. This one feels good. We ranked 10. They ranked number 1 in the nation. That doesn't mean anything. We've seen what Coach Ox has done to number 1 teams the last couple of years or so, and we made it 3 in a row with that. But the guys just look really well.
Where should we be ranked? So we just beat up on Purdue, the number 1 ranked team in the nation, on their home court by 23 points, the most that any number 1 team has lost at home against a non-conference opponent in the history of NCAA basketball. Where should Iowa State be ranked? Again, we've played some really good teams and come out on top.
Oh, I haven't looked and see what the teams that were ranked below us or higher than us at the time. What they did, because I mean, I get, as a kid, I used to always think if you beat the number one team, you turn into the number one team in the nation. But as an adult and coming through the collegiate ranks, I know that's not how it worked. So I can see possibly as high as 5'6", maybe 6'7", because they love to do Iowa State. Wow.
You said it. You said 6'7".
You walked right into it.
That's right.
I'm glad London is not walking around, because she would have said it out loud too.
Mr. Hip. Mr. Hip.
But yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a win. Like I said, from the top to bottom, that really felt good. To have Taman back out there, just really guiding the ship and just keeping everything. Even killed the whole entire game. Killian Torrey, man, this kid is whoa.
All right, I'm going to say
whoa.
This. Okay,
Killian
Torrey,
and
Joshua Jefferson.
Man,
is that not this version of Jamal Tinsley and Marcus Pfizer?
I think Killian is a little bit different. A version in terms of how we play, or just the new rendition of
the new edition, right?
I buy it.
Every edition's a little bit different, little variation, but I think that there's some commonalities there.
I 100% buy it. 1 second. Hey, where's the puppy at? Okay,
it's just a major show here.
He got the door wide open.
Hey.
That's $800 to walk around the noser. But
so
I
think
you
did bring the puppy.
Yeah, we got to know where he at.
Oh, we end up keeping it. Like the kids. Oh my God, the kids fell in love with it, and that was it. But I mean, I love the kid. Like he plays with so much tenacity on defense. A little bit different than Jamal, even though I always love my general. He played defense when he needed to with his wingspan and get steals and stuff. Larry Eustace absolutely loved that. But it's, man, the tenacity that he's so tenacious about the defensive end, and it makes us get so many fast breaks and get up and down the floor. And Josh is just steady. He's just 100% steady. He takes the shots where he should. He needs to stop turning his back a little bit sometimes, because they're starting to flop on him. I hate that, trying to back him down and they flop on you. So, but he'll figure that out. I mean, he's going to be All-American this year without a doubt. We're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to Big continue to progress on, get into the conference, and man, keep this thing rolling.
And Brent, obviously you play basketball. Your first love, or excuse me, you play football. Your first love is basketball, and Marcus is in reverse. Same question as the women. Is this to me, it feels like a special season coming up, comparable to Marcus's 2000 season. Could this be a Final Four year for the men's basketball team?
I mean, again, this is fan versus everything else. I like to stay where we are, because the problem is we always put the cart before the horse, and it's like, oh no, and then we go in this frenzy if something happens. So I just think we focus on the winning right now. That's it. And let the cards fall where they need to. But yes, I mean, I think, opportunities are there. We stay healthy. The team looks phenomenal, right? So yeah, I think we are a Final Four team, but let's stay where we are. That's my feel. We've been involved in Iowa State sports, fans and people for forever, fans and players for forever. And we've seen what high rankings do to us. So let's just stay where we are and just focus on 1 week at a time. That's it.
Does all the noise on the football team, does it have a positive impact on basketball because we're so focused on football, where the men's basketball team can just fly under the radar a little bit?
I think it helps. I think it helps having a distraction. Like, people, like Iowa State fans are paying attention to basketball, but this right here is clearly taken away from a lot of that. Because even seeing them knock off Purdue, like, I'm seeing just a couple posts about them doing that, right? But you see, oh my gosh, this person is leaving, this staff is coming, this staff is staying. It's, you know what I mean? It's kind of taking it over. But
And this
I
shows
just I
case in
hate
point, right? We spent how
right.
much time talking about football, and the men's basketball team just beat the
Yeah,
number one team in the country.
right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's again, to remove yourself from being a fan and to be a realist about this business.
Mhm.
TJ is showing he's not no slouch,
Yeah,
and the same scenario could possibly happen. As much as we love him, as much as he loved this program, as much as he loves Iowa State and all of that. Like, I mean, of course, again, my fingers is crossed, but the situation that we can find ourselves in, especially if we make it to the Final Four, especially if we win the national championship,
Whew.
that's going to be a
Now you're
a
getting the carts on the
wide
horse, but it's fun to
wide
think about.
open. I mean, if we're thinking about Final Four, we shouldn't. If we're thinking about
right.
Final Four, we should not be thinking about winning the national championship. You know,
Absolutely.
even my team, like I was so tunnel vision on just winning. Okay, Texas coming in, let's knock them off. Oklahoma State coming in, let's knock them off. Like getting to the next game to win. I was so focused on that. That should be the ultimate goal. Like I'd said before, like I didn't know who the next team we were going to play when the next game was. We just prepared for it. We got into the tournament,
Which I
and
loved about you, that you only
man,
focus on the next game, not thinking,
we
well, if we win 3 games in a row, we can be
no, we got into the
amazing.
tournament. We beat what was it, Central Connecticut, and it was like, well, what do you think about Auburn? I had no idea we was playing Auburn next. Well, they're next on the list. Throw the ball up, jump ball, let's go. So if that's what we're focusing on, if we're focusing on this team being a Final Four team, we should be focusing on them being as strong as they are. If we just knocked off the number one team in the nation on the road and they're possibly going to be one of the top seeds, it's not far-fetched for us to be thinking, me having on my, Iowa State hat from 15 years ago, that we're not going to win the national championship. So I know a lot of the fans who are deep Iowa State fans, basketball, football, have seen what has just occurred in football, are not kind of skittish about it happening at the end of the season, especially the success we're planning on having this year.
Well, and Jeremy agrees with you. He says, pump the brakes in the Final Four. I just pose it because this team is fun. I think the caliber of talent is there. All of the parts are there. I love this team. I love how they play. They can play good defense and not have to score, or they can light it up the scoreboard too. You got to be able to play different styles in the NCAA tournament. You have to, and this
What was
team can
that?
do that.
Was it Florida International? Was that the team that
Yeah.
made it to the Final Four?
That
FIU,
Was
Florida
it
International
FIU?
University.
FIU, yeah, they were like green and blue and
Yeah,
all sorts of colors a couple years ago.
No,
Yeah,
I
that was
think
fun
it
yeah.
to
was
watch.
somebody else.
It was a
Yeah,
Florida team. It was a Florida
it
team
was
that wasn't
green.
one of the big Florida teams, but they didn't pump the brakes. We shouldn't pump the brakes. I mean, that should be the ultimate. Again, like I didn't, after we lost to Cincinnati in Hawaii, I was like, okay, that was the test that we needed. Absolutely. And I remember seeing in Hawaii, seeing in the Sports Illustrated the national championship trophy. My tunnel vision was formed in at that point, and we were off to the races. I don't think they should not be feeling the exact barring the fact, knock on wood, we don't have any injuries or anything like that, and we keep rolling. Man, Josh, shoot that ball and let's go.
Oh,
Let's get it.
hey
Stay aggressive.
guys, I just want to say thanks. I was really depressed coming into this show. I knew we would spend a lot of time talking about football. It's been therapeutic, but at the same time, there is a lot to look forward to. We've got
Yeah.
these amazing basketball teams. The wrestling team is phenomenal as well. They had a huge win, a dual victory against Iowa a week ago on Sunday. We just got a lot of special things going on. The football stuff, yeah, it's a distraction. It'll work itself out. There's nothing we can do about it as fans at this point. Bowl game's canceled. Let's see what August and September brings. But right now, let's focus on basketball because there are two exceptional teams playing in Hilton Coliseum. We have an exceptional wrestling program that is Kevin Dresser is taking it to the next level, which is what we've been waiting for. Let's have some fun. Let's go cheer on the Cyclones in basketball. Brent, you of course are in Coach's Kolaches. Any specials coming up that we should be stopping by on our way to Hilton for?
Man, I'm at no.
You're
So
at
I'm at Chris Kendall Market.
Christmas Kindle Market? Okay.
It's called Chris Kendall Market,
Chris Kindle, okay.
downtown at Principal Park. So right in the parking lot outside, and it is Thursday through Sunday. So yeah, I've already put in 40 hours from Thursday. Well, it's more like 50, 60.
Yeah, you're a business owner. You're working more than that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a monster of a deal, but it's actually pretty cool. Less the cold weather, but it's a pretty cool event. So no specials, man. We're trying to make it through this season and get through these holidays so I can kick my feet up and do nothing.
All right. So get in, visit Coach's Kolaches, and remember our sponsors. Again, Revelton Distilling Company. And if we've learned anything tonight, we might need a little bit extra. Whiskey coming from Revelton down in Osceola. You can find it out at you can find it out at Hy-Vee and any liquor store that you can get your hands on. And really good sponsors for Three Beards Media, and then our newest sponsor, Iowa Beef Steakhouse, which they are absolutely delicious. And of course, our studio sponsor, Andrew Downs and AKC Marketing, if you're looking for some cool merch. I think that's it for the show tonight, guys. It's been good having everybody on. Really have appreciated all of the comments and the feedback that we've received during this show. It's been a lot of fun. We'll see you next time for the next episode of Inside the Storm. Go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones.
When the scene takes flight, Hilton's rocking, hear the magic call. We rise together, we'll never fall. There's a cyclone brewing on the outskirts tonight. Jack Trice shakes when the team takes flight. Hilton's rocking, hear the magic call. We rise together, we'll never fall. CYCLONES, Cyclone Nation.